I know many of you did have a good Mardi Gras because I saw your photos and your posts on Facebook. Amy. Amy's a good woman for Mardi Gras. I'm convinced of that.
I think she's kind of calling you out right there.
No, she just has a good, all of her, she's very, Amy, you're very photogenic, and you have great photos posted on Mardi Gras. I mean, you are the queen of Mardi Gras informally, at least with this group, because the others may be, but you don't post, so I can't see them. Okay, so let's go ahead if everybody wants to, and we'll get started because I know that you all have other things to do. So with that, I'm going to call this meeting to order, please.
Okay, I'll go ahead and call the roll. Miss Bailey.
Here.
Dr. Cable.
Present.
Miss Coleman.
Here.
Dr. Davis. Dr. Henderson. Miss Lawson.
Present.
Miss Talbert.
Present.
Miss Merricks.
Here.
Mr. Powell.
Here.
And Mr. Taylor Jarrell. You actually have 7 present, so that does represent a quorum.
That's great. Thank you. I haven't, I know it's been quite a while. What, 2 years since I've literally seen you, all of you. Okay, so.
Yeah, it's been 2 years.
It's been 2 years. Yes, it was March in 2020 that everything shut down. So I appreciate you all being in attendance. And with that, we go on to, I think, what's the approval of the minutes? Oh, certification of virtual meeting. You see that there. And then we go to.
Robin, do you need to say anything about the certification of the virtual meeting?
I see it posted.
No, but I would like to say that at the last press conference, the governor said he had indicated that he might allow the public health emergency proclamations to lapse when the current ones expire on March 16th. He indicated that there were a number of different federal funding streams that might be affected if he were to do that. So he was having a number of different agencies to research those issues. I have not seen anything further, but I just want everyone to be aware this may be our last virtual meeting.
Okay,
depending upon what he does.
Any comments? So if this is our next meeting is scheduled in April around Easter time, correct?
Yes, ma'am. It's actually scheduled, I think, for April 14th.
Which would be
the day before Good Friday.
yeah, Good Thursday. Maundy Thursday, as we used to call it where I grew up. Okay.
Do you want to, we can look at, okay.
I don't know other people's schedules. I think that people, let's look at that later, and people may have some ideas. I think because people may be taking vacations.
Okay, I'll look at it.
Schools may be on breaks, and they had maybe planned to meet virtually. And if we can do, I mean, it's a lot easier to meet virtually. You can work that in. So anyway, people may want to give some thought and feedback to that. All right. Anything else? Any other comments, ideas? Thank you, Robin. Okay, next we go to approval of the minutes. No, introductions and announcements. All right, I'm going to turn it over to someone else here.
Okay, you can advance it, Rhonda. Good morning, everybody. I have this is a bittersweet announcement. We are extremely happy for Mr. Deloach and for his family. Sorry for LOSFA and the loss of historical knowledge and perspective that Mr. Deloach has provided for us. 33 years of working at LOSFA, Mr. Deloach will be retiring as of April 1st, and we wanted to honor him at this meeting. So you can see a little bit about Kelvin's work history here. and how he started at LOSFA, and certainly he will definitely be missed. Kelvin has agreed graciously to join us this morning. So
All
Kelvin,
right.
turn it over to you to say some remarks.
Good morning. Uh,
Good morning.
I guess I don't know if my video is on.
Your video is on.
It is? Okay, because I guess let me, oh, there I am.
Oh, there you are. Yes.
Good morning, everyone. It's been a great journey working at LOSFA. Starting there when the agency actually was called the Governor's Special Commission on Education Services. And the main focus was guaranteeing of the student loans. Learned a lot dealing with the student loan portfolio and was able to transfer over to our fiscal department. And then I left fiscal and went back to the loan department. And then I ended my career in the audit division. So it's been a great journey. I've seen a lot of individuals come and go. And now I'm one of those who's actually leaving. But it was great. It's a great group of people. It's like family. And so, yes, I will miss everyone, but I'll tell them all that if there's a question that you have or any assistance that you need, don't hesitate to give me a call. But I want to thank everyone for all that they've done and their support. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelvin. Can you share? Yes. And Kelvin, we got a plaque for you to commemorate your service and commend you for all that you have done for LOSFA. And Rhonda, we can either arrange to have you pick that up or we can put that in the mail to you. And do we have the other screen capture, Rhonda, of the best wishes from all of the employees?
Yeah, I have to change screen, so give me just 1 second. I'm sorry. There's a lot of screen shares today. I'm sorry, guys.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's-
We wanted you to see, Kelvin, from all of the employees, wishing you a wonderful retirement. So we have the plaque that will be coming your way. We'll actually have a PDF of the e-gift card that will be coming your way. And we actually have a monetary gift card that will also be coming your way. So we just wanted to let you know how much we appreciate you and how much we are grateful for the tenure that you have provided and the immense amount of knowledge that you've provided to LOSFA. So thank you so much for all that you've done.
You're welcome, and thank you. I guess that is my Oscar that I'm receiving, so I do appreciate. As they say, I want to thank God. I want to thank. I'm just like, but thank you all so much for all that you've done for me.
And congratulations to you. Hats off to you. You deserve this.
Thank
yes.
you. Thank
Congratulations.
you. And for those who don't know, my wife has retired also. So.
Oh, good.
All right.
Wow.
Yes, yes, yes. So she beat me by a month or so, but hey, it's all good.
That is amazing.
Yes.
Oh, that's a blessing for both of you and for your grandkids and your kids.
I actually have one of the grands here now, and I'm going like, this about to change because I'm not retiring to babysit. Yes.
Well, that's an amazing opportunity though, Kelvin. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Okay, and you all have a great day, great meeting, and best of luck to everyone.
Thank
All
you,
right.
Kelvin.
Thank you,
you.
Calvin.
All right.
Bye, Kelvin.
Bye.
Okay, so
All
we
right.
also have a lot of new team members that we want our board to meet, and their respective division directors will be introducing them.
Demetria Gilliam has joined the LOSFA fiscal team in our grants division. She's going to be working with Dr. Cobb and her team with the Gear Up grant, primarily managing the fiscal side of the school grants. She has some previous experience as an internal auditor in the insurance industry, which are some great, very transferable skills. And she's already hit the ground running, and we are happy to have her.
Sorry, my slides are
Not a problem.
don't want to forward this morning.
Go ahead. It's not a problem.
Good morning. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. As the HR director, it is my pleasure to welcome Quentin Johnson to the agency. He assumed the role of HR specialist on February 14th. Mr. Johnson came to us from the Louisiana Department of Revenue, where he worked in the talent acquisition space. He's also worked for the Louisiana Department of Health and Paychecks, and those were also in the capacity of HR. He holds an MBA from the Southern University and a BS from Southeastern Louisiana. So line up for you all these other lions we have on the call. And he's also a licensed realtor, and he enjoys traveling, fishing, and spending time with loved ones. So it is my pleasure. He's hit the ground running. So we're excited to have him. Quentin, do you have any remarks?
Good morning. I think you've pretty much covered everything, Corey. I'm excited to be on board, and I'm ready to do great work. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
All right.
Good morning, everyone. And I'd like to welcome Latoya Mitchell to our special programs section in the Scholarship and Grant Division at LOSFA. Latoya will be working as a primary contact for the programs listed: the Louisiana Gold Grant, Completers Grant, the Rockefeller Wildlife Scholarship, our Bessie Tuition Program for Teachers, and STEP TANF. This is her third week here, and she has really done a great job. She has prior experience as a financial aid counselor at River Parishes Community College, so that knowledge has greatly shortened her learning curve. So we're looking forward to all the things she's already done and will continue to do in our Scholarship and Grant Division. Welcome, Latoya.
Thank
Thank
you.
Hi there. So before I introduce Chantranice, I definitely want to just give a shout out to Demetria Gillum, who Brett introduced earlier. She has been doing an amazing job with our team working in our fiscal unit. So definitely want to echo that. And so now I definitely want to welcome back Chantranice Jordan. She is entering as the program administrator and lead mentor. Chantranice is trained as a professional school counselor. She's actually already working on, our mentoring connects. She is definitely the reason why we have such a stronger family component. So many of what you have seen us report on in terms of family engagement that has come from the work of Chantranice. So when I was told that she was actually looking to come back, I was definitely elated. So definitely join me in welcoming back Chantranice. Chantranice, do you have anything you want to share?
Good morning. I'm just thankful to be a part of such a great organization to promote student success. So I'm glad to be back, and I'm thankful for you all and Dr. Cobb.
I'm thankful for you too. Thank you so much. And so next, I can say welcome back to Melissa. So I have two staff members who came back. This is like, look, let me tell you something. I was like doing cartwheels, not in my head, not really. But so Melissa comes back, and she's going to be a regional coordinator for us in the Calcasieu and Point Capee area. Melissa is phenomenal. She has worked with us before in mentoring and tutoring in the Calcasieu area. She's very well connected there. She has a social work background, very strong with supporting students and families' needs, that holistic approach. So please join me in welcoming Melissa. Melissa, do you have anything you want to share?
I was having troubles with my computer for the past couple of days, so I'm hoping that I'm able to get some things done, but I'm honored to be able to say hello to everyone and just speak up I was actually surprised when I got the email from Dr. Cobb saying they had, you know, some openings, and it was really just perfect timing with everything and transitioning. So I look forward to learning more about this aspect of LOSFA and really, you know, kind of hitting the ground running and getting these students ready for a productive future. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. And I'll
Thank
turn it back
you.
over to you.
Okay, all right, now we have, thank you all and welcome. And I just have a question because I probably should know this, but I don't. How many total employees, staff do we have?
I don't know if Corey's still on or if Dr. Boutte, do you know?
We see
Go
her,
ahead, Corey.
okay. We see her around 97.
97, wow. All right, thank you. And now we have approval of the minutes from February 10th, 2022. I hope you all had an opportunity to read them, in which case I need a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
This is Barry. I motion.
Thank you, Barry. Barry made a motion. And do I have a second?
Amy Merritt, second.
Thank you, Amy. It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, good job. Thank you. Moving on to public comment.
Nothing yet.
Nothing yet. Thank you, Andrew. And program updates. And the first are the ABLE reports. Ms. Underwood, I guess you're up next. Is that correct?
Ma'am, good morning.
Good morning.
On ABLE, we are currently reaching out with the Treasury to entertain the thought of perhaps offering debit cards for our ABLE account owners. They have expressed an interest that they would like their funds to be easier to access. So we have a meeting with them next week to see if that would be something that would be possible. So I will certainly pass on any updates that comes from that. We are collecting information for K-12. Senator Foyle has introduced Senate Bill 25, which if passed, would pay earning enhancements to the account owners for K-12 accounts. So we're excited about that. We'll see how that pans out. And of course, we'll report back more on that later. As far as START, we have posted all of our end of the year earnings for the account owners. And we are now gearing up to send the end of the year statements out through mail and electronically. So everything is on schedule to have those out by month end. You'll also look at the screen, and that's where we stand as of the end of January with accounts as well as balances on account.
Anybody have any questions of Terry? Terry, I have just a curiosity here. How often do the participants of the ABLE program make withdrawals? Is it different than the K-12 or START?
Right. It really varies. We have some that make some once a month, and we have some that have never made any. I think it all depends on the dynamic of the family and what they want the account to do for them. Some of them are used for housing expenses, so therefore they'll do something once a month. Then we have others, and I'll say like my son's account, we hardly ever withdraw from it because I'm saving more for when something happens to me. So I think it really depends, like I said, on the dynamic. Okay. We have them from monthly to never.
Okay, and for those that do it monthly, that would be why they would be asking for a debit card.
A lot of the other programs, Ms. Coleman, offer that because it makes the money more accessible and more able to use for some of those daily expenses, where the way we're set up now, it takes at least a couple of weeks for them to get a check, and it's just really, it's not very friendly for them to use for those everyday expenses. So that's what they're asking for. So we're hoping to be able to do something for those folks.
Would that require any changes, any legal changes, any changes in the law to do that? Or is the state treasurer signed off on it? I mean, who gets to say, yes, you can, yes, you can do this?
Well, right now, quite honestly, we're in the infant stage. We've just reached out to them to see what would be involved. So I'll have more on that later. Today, I'm just not equipped to answer all those questions.
I'm just started. No, I appreciate that, and it's very interesting. Thank you very much. I was just curious. Does anyone else have any questions or comments?
I just wanted to comment that I don't believe there's going to be a necessity for legislation change. So if State Treasury says that this is possible, it's just going to be a matter of the logistics and getting it implemented.
Oh, good. All right. Moving on then from the Ms. Underwood, next we have College Access, Success, and Communications update.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Rhonda, if you actually, let me give a couple communications updates before we move on to virtual sessions and everything. We are still looking to fill the position of our communication strategist. We're going to sort of get into recruiting mode now. We had 23 applicants total, extended interviews, and we're not able to identify a good candidate from those. So if anyone knows someone who works in communications that we feel would be a good fit for helping to share the mission of what it is we do here at LOSFA, to be able to communicate with our students and parents and our stakeholders and supporters and members of the legislature about the importance of what LOSFA does, the importance of college, financial literacy preparation, why we need to be investing in higher education, all of these things, and being able to reach a wider audience. That's what we're looking for in this position. We're also working to revamp our financial literacy program as well, and our communications plan to better align with supporting the Board of Regents Master Plan and the goals of the Student Success Council, and to reach more adult learners as well. And then our MJ Foster website will be fully updated today, minus the application link. I think we're still working that out, but it should be close to being able to be launched on there and tested a little bit before we really start pushing for students to apply using that link. And then our press kit that we'll be distributing to our post-secondary partners will be available after today as well. And we have a meeting later this afternoon with our marketing consortium with all of the LCTCS institutions, LSUA, LSUE, and SUSLA, as well as LOSFA. Next slide, please. So for our virtual sessions, of course, they're mostly TOPS focused, but we've had a total of 2,065 of those. We will continue doing virtual events even once we find ourselves on the other side of everything COVID. We want to continue to reach more students, more parents, and it's of course much easier to do some things virtually than trying to have somebody travel all over in order to do these things. And then for our continuous professional development, continuing to focus on learning more about demographics as we try to address the enrollment issues that we're facing, not only in Louisiana, but across the country as well. And that's why that communications plan is so imperative. We're also focusing more on diversifying our outreach through communication, and there have been several sessions that we've been able to attend, and we will be implementing a lot of those things that we've learned in those as well. And then also continuing to learn more and develop in the area of student support. So any questions on any of this before I hand it over to Ebony?
Anybody?
Okay.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Ebony?
Thank you.
Good morning. You can go to the next slide, Rhonda. Thank you. So last month, of course, Louisiana is the FAFSA golden child. So
right.
Dr. Cobb, myself, and other members of Field Outreach, Student Engagement, and CAD had opportunity to speak with Olivia Sanchez, and she's a reporter with the Hechinger Report. And they're a nonprofit news outlet, and they focus entirely on education. But we did have a chance to talk with her about Louisiana rankings over the years since the implementation of the FAFSA mandate. And we also shared some of the outreach methods we use during those FAFSA completion events. We also had the NASGAP Power Hour last month. And so with the Power Hour, each one focuses kind of on a different topic. And here's a shout out to Ms. Deborah Paul, who serves as a member at large. She always makes sure LOSFA is well represented during these discussions. And I had the pleasure of facilitating the discussion last month. It was between Louisiana, Texas, and Mississippi. And each state kind of talked about their respective strategies for FAFSA completions and the impact of FAFSA mandates or the lack thereof in the case of Mississippi. And so Dr. Cobb, Lavonia Malvo, and Ms. Barry Bailey all spoke to current FAFSA efforts here in Louisiana. So NASGAP Power Hour has been really, they have really robust discussions. So I've enjoyed those each month. And then finally, we have another member of CASC that earned their certified advisor badge from NCAN. That's Mr. Scott Burke. And he completed his training last month, and he is another member of our division to earn that certified advisor badge. Do I have any questions from anyone?
I have a question. I usually do. What's the certified advisor?
So the Certified Advisor Badge is through NCAN, the National College Attainment Network. Okay. And so it's a series of trainings that the individual has to complete, and it's a lot. I want to say it's somewhere between 20 or 22 webinars that have to be completed in order. And then there's a quiz at the end of each one that you have to pass with a passing score in order to move to the next course. But it covers everything from advising, you know, in a cultural context, FAFSA completions. It looks at the verification process, summer melt, family engagement. So it just covers a wide range of advising, you know, best practices, things of that nature. So it's really a little intense, but it's tremendously helpful. And so really proud that we've had several team members up until this point complete that certified advisor training, because it helps us, of course, during outreach when we're helping students and parents.
That's great. Congratulations, Scott, and those others who are certified. Anyone else have any questions on that one? Okay. Student engagement update.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Thank you, Rhonda, as you proceed to our very first slide for student engagement. I just want to say that February, we continued our ongoing launch of our network groups from our spring semester. In January, we had a full house with everybody in one full joint session. February was our first month of this calendar year where we had the individual groups do their individual respective nights. And during this particular gathering, we had one featured guest presenter, Ms. Lolanda Brown, who is the Chief Diversity Officer for LHC Group. You may recall months ago, we launched and announced our relationship that we're building with this employer who has really stepped up and is fully and continue to show their support and commitment to Louisiana's students. So Ms. Brown, she presented on internships, interviewing tips, shared information about internships, and gave interviewing tips to our students, which this session has been recorded. And I must say, we are still getting clicks on our Ignite platform that students are accessing her material, finding it very beneficial, as a lot of our students, particularly our seniors, are getting ready to onboard in their career job search. So this particular group, again, we had 3 of our 4 groups met this month. Because of the Mardi Gras break, we didn't have our nursing group to meet. So those numbers are indicative of those participants through our other 3, our accounting, finance, our engineering, and our new IT CIS group. So that being said, I noticed there was reference to that one high schooler. I must say, by us onboarding our our seniors in high schools in advance of them actually entering a post-secondary campus. It's been a one-up for us. We have enlisted our students in identifying their peers to join our group. And I just wanted to make reference that one high schooler, he is on that slide in the middle. And he has been recruiting his classmates. We had orientation this past Monday, and Buzz nudging our participants with helping them get the word out to their peers is really working for us. And just wanted to make that point of reference there. Rhonda, if you could go to the next slide, please. As we move forward and look to our next slide, we see that there is a document, actually it's our newest Airtable that we have created to help guide our planning. One of our strategy that we're using to identify and recruit students outside of our normal LOSFA marketing tools is that social media tools, but we're using direct one-to-one contact with our various post-secondary partners through their department chairs. So those respective network groups that we have currently existing, we reach out, we do an email campaign to them, to the department chair. We ask for a department informational meeting. We convene a department informational meeting with all of the persons that either instruct or advise students within those respective departments, within those respective fields. After they hear just what our network groups are about, then we ask them to schedule a campus-based orientation whereby they incentivize their students' attendance just to hear the information. And then the students self-select by attending an orientation. If they see the group as being beneficial to them, then we're onboarding. We are finding this strategy to work so well. Again, we've reported to you months past on how we've utilized this approach with NSU. And so now we've already had meetings at LSU regarding that department, in engineering department. Just on yesterday, we got a reach out from UL's computer science department, and I'm just seeing other campuses following suit and are responding to this campaign. So we document the work in what we're calling the Airtable, which helps us track from the email send out to the actual scheduling of the department meeting, to the actual scheduling of the orientation, to even tracking the number of participants as we move through to make sure that we do not miss any campuses. Right now, we're doing our 4-year institutions. We will also be doing our 2-year community colleges and what have you. So this process has really been very beneficial. Again, this is in addition to our standard marketing approaches that we've been working with in tandem with our fellow teammates from the CASC division there. So Rhonda, if you can progress and advance the slide, I'd like to share with you what else we've been doing in student engagement division. Again, just bear in mind, this division has only been operational since May of last year. So we're coming up on our 1-year anniversary. It's taking us a minute to kind of just get to know one another, to kind of identify what our strategies will be. And now that we have some semblance of what our divisional work would look like, this template that you saw is just our cover page, but we have direct guidelines that workflows that we have created to provide consistency of work, but also efficiency in how we do it. So this is just a little snapshot of what those workflows look like by various tasks, functions, assignments, and projects. Next slide would be our last slide. As you know, and you've heard Shane and Ebony from CASC make reference to the MJ Foster's launch. You know LOSFA's role beyond the grants management of it that's coming through Deborah's shop. There is the requirement that LOSFA again provides through its website the maintenance of information, resources, supports to encourage and support matriculation. So we've already begun that work with 211 to procure a license. LOSFA with the Board of Regents, will be maybe the fourth, if not the fifth state agency that will own a 211 licensing agreement that would help us to embed a public-facing search engine on the left on LOSFA's website. Our license will be unique from the other 3 or 4 state agencies' licenses in that we will be the first to do that. What this slide illustrates is just, again, an update on where we are with it. We're nearing the end of where we're going to receive the United Way's, excuse me, our organization had to kind of retweak the language so that the license can meet what we're needing. But in doing so, we had a reach out from California's Student Aid Commission. And they were doing some type of one-stop shop, so to speak. And so they found out what we were doing and were interested in hearing about this 211 collaborative. And in so doing so, yet again, as Ebony mentioned, you know, Louisiana's taking the lead with all things FAFSA completion. Well, here's another strategy that California is wanting to replicate from Louisiana. So we were successful in connecting them with their own 211, and they're now exploring the feasibility of doing something similar to what we're doing with our 211 in Louisiana. The president of that association in California said he had vetted several states and he found that Louisiana's was the most intriguing. And so he was most interested in pursuing that. So just wanted to share the work that we're doing, student engagement, and how we're not just looking within our internal state partners, but building alliances with partners throughout the country as well.
Wow, thank you. No, but I would like to say, I truly appreciate you taking the time to put all this together, because it's just amazing how much you all are doing, and that's you all in the broadest sense. So let's go on. Anybody else have any comments? Okay, next we go to Dr. Cobb.
Morning again. So thank you so much, Rhonda. So I reported previously that our students actually conducted the professional development for the school staff and the district staff in January. So here I am updating you all on, so what did the survey results come back? So how did the students do? So as you can see here, the students did exceptional. So the adults who participated in the students actually conducting the professional development, as you can see here, they benefited from it as being a great learning experience. It was, there were actionable information provided to them. It was clear and definitely interactive. So definitely our high school students who presented this information, we're so proud of them. Not only are we providing services to them so they can actually matriculate and persist in college and post-secondary, but we're also helping to train them as leaders. So we're really excited about that. And as you see here with these survey results in terms of the word clouds, when you look at what elements of the session were most helpful to the participants, as you can see, the largest word is students. So, right, hearing from our future actually, you know, talk about how they're implementing college and career readiness activities in their school was, you know, front and center. And then on the right in that word cloud, that's how we're able to build out our next training session. So what other topics do the schools and districts need to hear from us? And as we're planning out, we use that data to plan out the next section. So definitely hats off to our high school students who did the professional development. Next slide, Rhonda. Okay, so that professional development was on the local level. So here we are at the national level. And I can say I am so proud of our team in our schools who presented at the national level. So in February, 2 of our team members, Britt Kelly and Jenny Moran, they actually presented with INSEP, who provides technical assistance for GARRET programs around the country, and Ron Felder of the Philadelphia Higher Education Assistance Agency, they did a 2-part series, almost like lecture and lab, where they actually talked about all things financial aid in the first part. And the second part, they actually helped the participants work through a case study of how to actually help students compare award packages. So they did a very great job with that, really positive feedback from those sessions. And on the right side of the screen, you see that one of our parents from our Gear Up program, she's actually worked with us in several different capacities. She actually presented as a parent presenter on a panel of other parents at the Gear Up conference. And she talked about all the services that we're providing here in Louisiana and that holistic approach. And she really represented the state at the national level very well. It's Miss Ariane Frazier. I'm so proud of her. And I just wanted to share that with you all as well. Next slide, Rhonda. And so here, I talked a little bit about this student. So Miss Cassidy Parnell, she was featured in this WAFB article about all of the schools she's been accepted to and all of the money that she's received in scholarships. So we're very proud of her. But you know what? We're really proud of all of the support that we have been able to provide to her. So that dynamic team that we have in our office, all of these supports to help students like Cassidy, you know, be able to connect, right? So really proud of her and proud of our team who's actually helping students like her be successful. In the middle, you see, this is a session that Britt Kelly from our unit, working with the CASC unit, working with student engagement. We all pulled together. So what is LOSFA doing to actually help prevent or help families come out of poverty? So what kind of services do we have? So Britt actually presented with other presenters in February about the drivers of poverty as it relates to what can our services do to help students and families as they, you know, mitigate some of the things that are drivers of poverty. He did an excellent job, you know, just talking about all the wonderful things we're doing here at LOSFA. And finally, I think this is like the highlight. We had a fun day of physics with Louisiana Tech at Lincoln Preparatory School. So usually, unless you're a physics geek, you hear physics, you're like, what? Wow, that sounds complicated. So Tech did an amazing job of breaking this down to the high school students at Lincoln Preparatory to actually help them understand more about building electromagnets, building and flying planes, the four forces of flight. So all of this was actually the university taking physics from the post-secondary lens to the school. And so as you can see from the quotes, the students thought it was a blast. They liked this way of learning. They couldn't believe the first quote. He can't believe that you can do so much with so little. Next, you're talking about just a great learning experience. It's better than just sitting in the class. And finally, my man, Edward Ford, who was one of the presenters that I talked about, who presented, he said, you know, hey, if you know the physics behind an airplane, then you can understand how it stays in the air. Well said, right? So anyway, it was a great day for the students. So we definitely have more of these events that we're doing, and I'm just excited about what's going on. That's it for us.
Any comments, questions? I have one, and I like the your students thing. And I think that's applicable. What strikes me is that TOPS tends to suck all the air out of the room all the time. But if you understand the physics and if people understand that you are holistically helping the students, TOPS, non-TOPS, or whatever, getting ready to be successful for post-secondary. I mean, without it, it just doesn't work. And the legislature just focuses too much on TOPS per se, in my opinion. And I like what he said, so I'm going to use that. I like that analogy. Anybody else have any comments?
Well, I do. I did just put it in the chat, but my undergraduate degree is in physics, so I'm elated to see that a program like this has taken place. I'm a little sad that I wasn't there. Everything in life is applied physics, and this is a wonderful program. Thank you so much, Dr. Cobb.
Anyone else? Thank you. Thank you, Charmaine. Moving on, next we have the scholarship update. Ms. Paul.
Good morning again, everyone. The first program, and this is a repeat from last meeting in February, the Bessie Tuition Program for Teachers. We do have 8 recipients that are going to be processed for this fall. I'm sorry, for this spring 2022 semester. What happens is we only can submit one bill. This Bessie Tuition Program is really administered by the Department of Education, Louisiana Department. And so the requirements are that we submit just one bill. So we're waiting on the billing from one of the colleges because one of the teachers is involved in an online course, which doesn't begin until later on this month. So once they get her enrolled in the online portion for the spring, we'll be able to submit it. So hopefully for the April meeting, we'll have an update, but we do have 8 recipients that are being funded for the spring 22 semester for the Bessie Tuition Program for Teachers. Our Louisiana Gold Grant, and there is an update. We process Gold Grant every Thursday. And so I think when I looked at it yesterday, we had basically 11 million remaining. So we have processed more Gold Grants. The deadline for the Gold Grant for the spring semester is March 24th. So Latoya is working with the individual campuses who have not billed yet for the spring or who have not exhausted their allocations to make them aware of our deadline. We sent a mass email out that we'll start paying individual attention to those colleges starting on Monday so that we can use up the allocation of 42 million, which was a big increase from previous years, the largest increase in the Gold Grant history. Louisiana Tech, their spring quarter did start this week, but their 9th class day is not until around March 22nd. So they'll be billing shortly thereafter for their spring 22 quarter for the Gold Grant. Next slide. Our John R. Justice Program. We did complete the funding with the 21 applicants. We split the money equally between public defenders and the prosecutors. So we had 6 applications from the 5 districts and public defenders. 2 ended up not deciding to complete the process with the program. So instead of getting the regular $3,900 as a public defender, they each 4 received an additional $975, which is great for the attorneys because this goes back against their total student loan indebtedness. And I was just on a call yesterday with NASGAP, and one of our president mentioned that she just received $26,000 forgiven with the public student loan forgiveness program. So students who borrowed under the old FAIL program that Kelvin talked about earlier and did not borrow from the direct loan programs, you have to consolidate those loans in order to be eligible for public forgiveness. But she said it was a 90-day process, and she from the payments that she made on her loans and getting verification from her public service employer, she was able to wipe out $26,000 in the public student loan forgiveness program. So that gives hope for those who have large student loan balances and are working at an agency like LOSFA or any other state agency or public service that can get those loans forgiven. But I digress. Great. So with the prosecutors, we had 10 awards. So those have all been completed for the academic year. We're currently taking applications for this current cycle, which will end April 30th. And I'm pleased to say this year we're a little bit ahead of where we were last year. For our prosecutors, we have 11 applications, and today is March 10th. So we had 15 last year. We still missing some. We don't have anybody from the 5th district yet, but we have 11 prosecutors and public defenders, which is really good news. We have 7 applications. We only got 6 last year. So we're working to increase the awareness of this John R. Justice program. So we'll be getting with our communications team to maybe do it. Last year we had a news story on, I think, our local WBRZ ABC affiliate about the John R. Justice program. So hopefully we can get some more attention going to those programs to help our prosecutors and public defenders who are doing such a valuable public service working in those particular fields. And then the next program is our Go You Challenge. Since this report was given to Rhonda, we have processed 2 students for the spring 22 semester. I think they were on last week. So we have a few that continuing on in the U Challenge program for the spring semester. Any questions?
Great, thank you.
The completers grant, with the fall, we had $350,000. As of the spring semester, I think our totals are a little bit ahead of that. We're a little bit over, I think, $1.1 million for the spring semester. So we're going to be having more discussions on completers. The money is supposed to be used up by September. So we'll be working with the Board of Regents and LOSFA staff to figure out how we're going to push the rest of this on through. Any other questions or comments, rather?
Thank you very much. All right, moving on, we have legislative update. Ms. Lively.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
As of right now, we have 7 bills that would affect us and 1 resolution, possibly. The first bill is HB 207. That bill adds geometry in the career diploma graduation path. We have reached out to legislative staff to let them know that that does not align directly with the TOPS Tech Core curriculum and that it may cause some confusion among counselors. They indicated that they would bring it to the author to see if possibly there could be a change. And we also contacted the Department of Education to let them know that we had contacted staff about that. HB 536 lowers the minimum GPA for TOPS Tech from 17 to 15. SB 25, which Ms. Underwood mentioned earlier, provides for earnings enhancements for Start K-12. SB 81 repeals the requirement that the TOPS 1202 report include demographic information. We have been asked a number of times, why do you report this information? It is inflammatory. And our response has been, we are required to do so by the law. So this provision would delete that requirement. SB 178 codifies those IDA exceptions that were in Proclamation 183, very similar to the bill that was passed last year for Laura, Delta, and Zeta. SB 191 is different than anything we have ever seen in TOPS, I believe. This one would provide an alternative to the foreign language requirement in the form of computer science. Instead of taking 2 units of foreign language, the students would have to take 2 units of computer science. There is another law that does not affect our programs, but it could affect our rulemaking. HB 390 basically says if the legislature does not act to put into the law an administrative rule passed by an agency, that administrative rule is no longer effective. So what that would mean is every single administrative rule that we pass would have to be codified, regardless of whether it was explanatory for legislation that had already passed or further implementation of it, but they would have to pass a law to codify every one of those. So that will be interesting. And I just wanted to mention this morning, Dr. Cable had mentioned a possible resolution to clarify that for MJ Foster, they would introduce a resolution that provides that financial aid does not include student loans for which the student may be eligible but chose not to take. which would make this program available to more students since it is a last dollar in. Does anybody have any questions about any of those?
I don't have any questions, but I'm glad you explained them. I have read them because I was doing some reading for another group that I'm involved with. Refresh my memory again on what's the process. I know as a state agency and state employees, you are called to give quote unquote information only on these proposed legislations that you're not for or against them. So and the regions are the same way, but some of these are going to be controversial, obviously. So like Tops Tech.
Yeah. And, you know, LOSFA will do what it has always done. It will provide the legislature with information as to the effect that that will have on the number of students who are eligible and the potential increases in cost. But we will not answer questions regarding what we think about it. That is not our position.
Right.
The Board of Regents may do so. We do not know, but LOSFA will not do that.
And the boards of, and the same thing, Senate Bill 81, when I read it, I had no idea why Senator White was doing this.
Question. It says the GPA, but does that mean the ACT score? And also, was there a reason for the number of 15 in that at all?
I do not know. And it is supposed to be ACT. I apologize. That was a typo.
Okay.
But yeah, no, we were not consulted about that bill, so we do not know what that rationale was.
Thank you.
Dr. Cable, did you have a question?
Yes, I have two questions. I received an email from someone. I'm not sure why he emailed me specifically. He's with the Louisiana CTE curriculum executive, and he asked a question about adding a class as a science credit on the LOSFA requirements. I'm assuming it's for TOPS. I don't know who to refer him to. Is it me or is it LOSFA?
No, if you would refer him to me and get him to send me everything that he's thinking about adding, and I will advise him accordingly.
And then
Thank you.
The other question that I had was for the, what is it? The one for Ida.
Yes.
Has there ever been discussions, and I don't know, but about just why do we have to have this done every single legislative session? Is there not a way to do like a blanket, like emergency disaster something?
That question was asked by the Board of Regents in 2020 when COVID first was put into the law. The legislature did not have an appetite for providing us with that blanket authority. Last year, when they were codifying the proclamations regarding Laura, Delta, and Zeta, in every committee we were in, someone made the statement, this is just for this year, right? So that is a matter of legislative appetite as far as how far they want to provide that authority.
That's all I needed. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Other questions? And remember that they can still file, each legislature can still file 5 additional bills.
Yes, and the deadline for that is April 5th, by the
Yeah,
way.
so
Thank you for reminding me.
Yeah, so there will be more, and just based on some of the comments that, you know, were presented in the preliminary Senate Finance Committee, it will be an interesting section. And thanks for bringing that up, Dr. Cable, because I wondered that as well. It seems to me we're going to have more hurricanes. Why can't you do something? But that's because the legislature is the legislature. They get to do it their way. Okay. Other questions or comments?
Sure. If I could, just one more comment on that. Prior to last year, it was not necessary to put anything in the law as far as hurricanes since 2005. So that might lend to the reluctance to provide that blanket authority, because it had been so long since we had had that level of natural disaster that we were unable to handle in-house, because we were asked, how long has it been since we had to do this? And, you know, we provided them with that information.
All right, thank you. Other questions for Robin? We appreciate it, and if there are things that, ways that this board can assist, please reach out to them individually or as a group. I'm sure we will try to be helpful. All right, next, thank you.
All right, good morning, everybody. I wanted to bring the board back up to speed. Remember the last time we met in February, you saw the draft of the TOPS mid-year update, and we let you know that once the Board of Regents worked with us on that and we presented it to them, we would give you the final. So this is the final after much discussion and presentation. And as you can see, discussion at Senate Finance, we wanted to just hit the high points. Again, you've seen that there's a lot of coverage on this decline in enrollment, the 2.6% decline in undergraduate enrollment at Louisiana public universities. When you add private universities, overall decrease of 3.4%. When you add private and proprietary and cosmetology schools are included. What you're noticing that we are not doing here is a specific amount, because we are still tracking the TOPS billings as they are coming in. And we want to focus on the fact that this is not just a one single cause for the decline that we are seeing, but there are multiple things that occurred. There's been no changes. You can continue to scroll, Rhonda, in these charts here. With respect to the eligibility, basically the main point here is that you had two things happen with respect to initial eligibility. You had a decrease in the number of graduates that we processed, meaning your denominator of high school students for whom we received information on was less. And then you had another decrease in that you're starting with a lower number of graduates you've received information on. Then fewer of those graduates were actually determined eligible. So you're seeing kind of a double whammy there. Again, those students, and then you saw the third thing that happened is you saw a decrease in the number of students that accepted the award and enrolled for this first fall. Again, we're pointing out to policymakers that ask these questions. They could be out of state. We're working right now on how we can feasibly get that information. Is that something that our latest endeavor is to approach the Department of Education, have the commissioner also approach the Department of Ed to see if the Department of Ed already receives the information from the Clearinghouse on where high school graduates go. Can we develop a memorandum of understanding with them to be able to receive that for the purposes of administering financial aid and doing policy? So it helps us to know, did that student go out of state? We also need to look at, do that student take an internship, or an apprenticeship? Did they go that direction? Did they go to the military? Now, how does that help us? Because all of these students that didn't accept can come back. So where they went kind of helps us in programming policy and procedure to know what we have to be ready to do in budget-wise if they do return. All right, that's just, you'll see that National Student Clearinghouse data, that article from the Chronicle, I think was also quoted again in another piece. Just this morning, we saw another piece about it. Okay, keep scrolling, Rhonda. This is the data, again, from the Board of Regents that we're saying this is where we're getting the 3.4% decline in overall enrollment in the state, which is trending overall enrollment nationally. Again, exceptions and the hurricane exception. So you're seeing there the large number of students that were able to get exceptions for Laura, Delta, and Zeta because of that wide category, the swath of those storms, you'll see when you look at that listing of parishes, you've got significant numbers of parishes affected. So it didn't only mean that that student was living in that parish, if they were enrolled in a school in that parish. So you've got the students affected and you've also got the schools that were affected. Keep going, Rhonda. Again, we are asking now, we're receiving questions about IDA. So these numbers come into play when you see the 15,528 students. Now, again, you know, a smaller number of students, but look at the number of parishes compared to Laura, Delta, Zeta, no less significant, right? Took out the grid. And so we also, Robin pointed out something very profound, that we got to think about the fact that IDA also happened in conjunction with the COVID surge. So if you had students that were involved in online learning because of the COVID surge, then they're hit with problems with broadband and the grid being down and not being able to access classes, then you're going to have more difficulty with respect to students being able to remain continuously enrolled. So again, that's what we're seeing with IDA. Keep going, Rhonda. So at this particular point in time, the snapshot here was what you're seeing with respect to, regardless of whether the article today talked about, you know, you had some systems that had an increase in enrollment, you had some systems that had a decrease. What we're focusing on here is what we are seeing in the amount of billings for TOPS. And Mr. Hunt is going to go over where we are right now on that. So again, at the time this was written, we were comparing this time last year, we would have been at 53.6% of the allocation spent. This year, 51.2%, and we're still tracking. The last time I saw it behind, but again, Mr. Hunt will provide those numbers. Here with the projection tool at the bottom. Okay, thanks, perfect, Rhonda. Basically, when you come to the, combined effects of, you had fewer high school graduates that you received to process, you had fewer of them eligible, you had fewer of them accept. You had students that were for continuing eligibility as well as initial, affected by the hurricanes, also affected by COVID, and you had a national decline in enrollment, which the state also followed that trend. Now, so we get to, out of all of that chaos, how well did the projection tool do? Well, we assumed a 1% increase in high school graduates, but there was actually a 4% decrease. You're still within 3%. It's just that 3% is a large number when you talk about TOPS. We've got a weighted average for acceptance rates. We projected 68.8. It was 61.2. Again, a result of all of those combined effects. We projected originally a 2% increase in expenditures. We actually got a 2% decrease in expenditures. All of those things to say, this is why for the first time, we are not requesting additional funding from the legislature for TOPS. It's remaining level funded at $330. If you'll go on to the appendices, that we made some changes here. Go back a little bit, Rhonda, to that title side. This is critical because this is also somewhat related to what you see with Senator White's bill. Now, again, I'm not speaking for Senator White, but just in terms of eligibility for TOPS, often what people ask you about is, okay, well, eligibility, you know, what happened by race and what happened by income? It's very critical to know that race and income are not eligibility criteria for TOPS. You're not going to put a kid on TOPS or take a kid off TOPS for either one of those. But when you say them, the conversation doesn't go to anything else besides race and income, which is like, that has nothing to do with the eligibility. So we made this change and said, let's start by looking at the changes by eligibility criteria, ACT, core curriculum, and GPA. Let's put that focus on that. And so, Rhonda, if you'll just scroll through, you'll see that at the time we did not have those charts here. We've repeated those same charts, and shout out to Ms. Este and the IT team for putting this together, and to Connor on Brett's team, and to Robin for helping to look at it and say, can you understand that?
of this eligibility criteria. So this section is new, and keep moving, Rhonda. You're doing a great job. And again, we've color coded it because it's just easier to follow.
Yeah.
You want to compare from year to year, you find the colors and match them, and those are the two numbers so that you can see what the change would be. And you're noting that there's changes across categories. It isn't just one category of students, regardless of which phenomena you're looking at. Keep moving. Keep scrolling to the next appendice. All right, and here you've seen those charts, that is ethnicity and parental income bands. And I do want to make a comment, even if Senator White's bill were to pass and that were to be taken out, that means that's taken out of the 1202 report, which is actually the performance report on TOPS. So if you're reporting on performance, right, then you are focusing on those things that are eligibility criteria. That does not mean that if a legislator or legislative group wanted LOSFA to give them this information by ethnicity or by income bands, that we could not do that. So it doesn't mean that we could not or would not do that. It just means that is that your reporting criteria? And that's really the gist of that particular bill. Okay. All right. I think that's just about it because they've seen those charts. And we basically, you've seen this chart on the funding history and expenditure trends, which is basically the justification for the 330, 934, 875 remaining level funded for this particular year. Mr. Hunt, at this time, I'll turn it over to you to give us the current stats, and then we'll certainly address any questions that you all have.
Yeah, right now we've spent 85% of the total allocation, and that compares to 90% last year. It's not exactly apples to apples because right now there are a few schools that had billed last year but haven't yet this year, and a couple more that have billed this year but hadn't last year. But if we were to, if we had those schools in there and everything was apples to apples, we'd still be about 2% down. So nothing has really changed dramatically since January 31st, when we did have an apples to apples comparison. So right now the variance is close to $10 million. In reality, it's going to end up being probably closer to 6 when all is said and done. About $6 million less this year than we had last year, which will average out to roughly 2%.
Anybody? Anything else? Any questions? I know that I heard Dr. Booty that you told the Senate Finance Committee that you'll be back with them in April, and I'm sure they'll have. This is great work, and I appreciate it, and I hope that the members who are asking the questions appreciate it as well. It's valuable information.
Thank you, and a huge shout out to I want to say that the SE unit, the CASC unit, the LFOS unit, the data unit and legal unit have all collaborated together, and we've worked with our partners at VELA to help us design the questions for the focus groups that we're going to be conducting, or that those units. Actually, my understanding is that our advocates, my LOSFA college advocates, are going to be conducting the focus group sessions. VELA has done some training with our college advocates, which is another phenomenal experience for them, such that we can capture more of that qualitative data and feedback for what is influencing students' behavior decisions. Because again, that's really what the TOPS projection changes are about. They're not about tuition, or fees. They are about changes in student behavior. So to be able to identify that. So that is the mid-April data that we're saying. When we have that focus group data, we'll come back to you. But I just want to take this time before we go on to our new business item to publicly commend this phenomenal team. And what really, I think, impresses me most is, you know, we are very fortunate to have you all as a board as engaged as you are, and folks that understand these issues, and also the way that you're seeing our teams present and referring to how they are working across divisions with each other. That is the only way that we will be able to continue to grow as an agency and serve a much more diverse and broader entity and broader group and population. So hats off to everybody that presented, and even those that didn't present behind the scenes. Those are the people that support the people that are presenting and enable them to do what they do. So very, very fortunate to be a part of this team.
And thank you for your leadership. And just a personal comment here. They always say, well, if they if they're on tops, they succeed at this rate or they don't succeed. And I think what LOSFA is doing and all of the work that you are doing, what they're forgetting is you are helping the students succeed regardless of tops. You are getting them that last mile, as it were. I mean, they're coming in prepared to see whether they're a top student or not. And that's just so valuable. And I just truly appreciate that. Thank you. Okay. Next we have the rules that kind of Act 47. Okay, Robin, back to you.
So this is old business. This is the final rule for the MJ Foster Promise rulemaking. We did go to the Joint Legislative Committee on the Budget. They approved the rules as they were written. They did, however, ask that we provide them with additional information as we get it, because as you will remember, we did not provide allocations to the different schools because we didn't have any data to be able to know who was going to go where. So we could not make a reasonable allocation. So they requested, as we do receive billings this year, that we give them information as to how those were being allocated. But other than that, these rules have been published. We only received one comment, and that was from Dr. Cable, which we responded to, and we just ask that you approve us to bring this to the Board of Regents for final publication.
All right, thank you. You've heard Robin. As presented, do I have a motion to approve as presented, please?
Amy Merrick's motion to approve.
Thank you. Do I need a second, please?
Charmaine Talbot, I second.
All right, thank you, ladies. And all those in favor, it's been moved and seconded, and those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, great. Motion carries and it's been approved. And then that gets us to the new business, the start interest rates.
We bring these interest rates to you every year. The treasurer sets these interest rates, and the one of the start statutes require that they be published in administrative rule. I will point out that we have absolutely no discretion in setting these interest rates because we do not handle those investments that the state treasurer has for the principal protection plan and the earnings enhancements. So we are codifying what they have told us those interest rates are.
All right, thank you. I need a motion to approve the interest rates.
It's Christy, I make the motion.
All right, thank you, Christy. I need a second to Christy's motion.
This is Barry, I second.
Thank you, Barry. And so it's been moved and seconded to approve the interest rates. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Good job. Thank you. And now we move to, I think it's the last item here, Robin.
Yes, these are the exceptional circumstances. I do not recall. Rhonda, did you go to the next slide? Do we have the number of except 5 recommendations for approval? Right. I apologize. These were all pretty standard. Does anybody have any questions about any specific one of these?
Anyone have any questions I did read them all and certainly recommend them for approval. And I was just wondering, with all this money coming into the state, could I get a big money and squirrel it away to help people like some of these who just need something to get over, and they have to drop out of school because it's a financial reason. And I'd really say, well, I'd really like to have the state to squirrel some money away to help them. But that's just my dream. But I need a motion to approve these 5 recommendations.
Charmaine, I motion to approve.
Thank you,
Christie, I
Charmaine.
second.
Good job. Thank you. All right. It's been moved and seconded to approve these 5 exceptions. May all those in favor say aye?
Aye.
Good. Those.
I just
all
want
right.
to, can I
Go
just
ahead.
clarify, that was Miss Lawson who seconded, right?
Yes.
It was.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all. So is there any further, Andrew, do we have any public comments, anything?
No, ma'am.
Wow, did I remember that on my own? Okay, I now need a motion for any other business, any other comments? Thank you all for being with us today. It's 1 o'clock, a little bit longer. We'll look forward to meeting again in April, sometime, someplace. And if you have some concerns about the April meeting, please get with Rhonda or somebody. We don't know anything about that yet.
Yes, we should know something by the end of next week. So I will either send you all an email or through Rhonda, we will let you know whether it will be possible to handle our next meeting virtually or not.
Okay, thank you. I need a motion for adjournment.
This is Barry, I motion.
Great
Yeah,
job,
motion.
Barry. Thank you. Okay, and second, we're done. Do I need I think.
You need a second.
Thank you. Good job.
Yeah, I'll second.
Thank you. All right. And so we are adjourned.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.